Hello creative cooks, welcome back to another episode of the Creative Phebe Cooks channel. I hope you're doing amazing. I'm your host Phebe and today we're making some Ghanaian Jollof Rice. This is a special request by one of my subscribers and I hope you are ready for this amazing, delicious recipe you can add to your weekly meal prep schedule. Together with that, I'm going to be making some green juice, so be sure to stay tuned so you can get that recipe, so you can get your juice on. But before that, I'm going to do some grocery shopping before making this Ghanaian Jollof Rice. I scored the last red snapper at Whole Foods, so I'm so glad I got something that I can make this dish with. I also bought some shrimps because I'm excited to add seafood to my diet and I'm going to see how that works for me. I'm also getting some Brussels sprouts. Lately, I've been loving the roasted effect of cooking these yummies. Let me know in the comment section below your favorite way to season and cook Brussels sprouts. Next, I'm going to get a crate of eggs. I'm slowly easing my way into eating eggs. I try to eat it maybe once every other day. I have here some seedlings. Now, I got attracted to them, even though I do have a list of crops I would prefer to prioritize during this spring and summer season. So if you'd like to know more about that, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you do not miss out on the beautiful garden I'm fostering here in my space. I'm getting some amaranth. Y'all, have you heard of amaranth before? This is not my first time actually. I love this grain and I love using it to make my porridge in the morning. It's quite nutritious, it's gluten-free, and it's amazing. After my shopping spree, I realized that I forgot my trolley and I surely need it because it helps me to wheel my items from store to home instead of carrying multiple bags at a time. Do you do this as well? Let me know in the comments section below. I'm done with shopping. I'm going to take some time to relax and prepare the fish. Now, even though the fish was already scaled and let's say mostly cleaned at the store, I prefer to clean my fish at home to make sure it's completely gutted, completely scaled, very clean before I use it in any of my recipes. If you do not have red snapper to make this recipe, you can also use mackerel, which is a great fish option. If you're not into fish, you can use goat, mutton, which is another way to say lamb. You can also use chicken, whichever you prefer. However, if you prefer a plant-based version, I'll tell you more about that in a few minutes. I'm cutting up the fish into 4 pieces: head, tail, and 2 middle. This will serve me all week long since I'm going to be having this meal about 4 to 5 times during the week. Next, I'm going to score each piece of fish. Scoring the fish helps to make sure that the seasoning that I add to this protein properly marinates the fish to the core, to the bone. If you're like me, you love sucking on the bone of your fish or your meat. So you want to make sure that that bone and the flesh is actually very well seasoned. Seasoning agents will include lime juice. If you have lemon juice, those will do too. But lime juice is much tartar, sour, another word for that. Season it with lime juice. If you'd like a sprinkle of salt, but I'll add that to the main seasoning that I'll be making in a few minutes. Season the fish on both sides, rub it in, especially the head of the fish if you're using fish, and set it aside to chill in your fridge or set in the counter. Make sure the fish is cold because you do not want it to spoil. Set it aside and then we'll get on to the next step of this. To make the seasoning for the fish, I'm combining some fine Himalayan salt, ground black pepper, some Dijon mustard grains, some cilantro leaves. You could also use parsley in place of cilantro if you prefer it, or if you do not have it available. I'm also gonna peel some garlic cloves, and I'll also be adding 1 habanero pepper. If you do not like it that spicy, you can adjust the spice level according to your tolerance. Now, a little bit of a background for the seasoning I'm making. By the way, I'm saving the scales of the garlic so I can make some compost. I'll be sharing that sometime soon. Okay, back to the seasoning for this fish. I'm going to be grinding the garlic and making the entire seasoning in a mortar and pestle, which I'll be switching very soon to accommodate the amount of the seasoning in a larger bowl that I converted to a mortar. The seasoning I'm making is called rough. It's typically done in Gambian and Senegalese recipes. Other African dishes have their own way of doing it, but this particular type of seasoning is used to season fish or your protein of choice, and typically inserted into the incisions of the fish I made earlier. This kind of seasoning is made with very fresh ingredients like garlic, parsley. I'm using cilantro instead, salt and stuff like that. It really gives your protein of choice an amplified flavor prior to cooking. A little bit of a background. Benachin is a Gambian term for what a lot of West African countries and countries around the world call jollof rice. Benachin is a Wolof term meaning one pot. The entire dish is made in one pot. Jollof rice is how people know it as, because that's just how they know it. But if you go to places like Senegal, they will say chapu ganar, chapu jen, which is like a rice fish dish. Chapu ganar is like a rice chicken dish. You get what I'm saying? So here I am seasoning the fish. I'm making sure that all of the incisions, the cavities are coated with this amazing, full of depth and flavorful seasoning. And I prefer to season this fish overnight, which is a great way for the seasoning to penetrate every layer of the fish, so that way you can taste it in every bite. I shared a benachin recipe a few years ago, which is a shrimps and beans benachin, which is absolutely tantalizing. Absolute fire. You've got to try it. I've got all the details for that video in the description box below. Be sure to watch it and let me know what you think about that. While the fish is marinating, I'll be making some juice. It includes some Granny Smith apples, ginger, key limes, some cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, you can use parsley. I also have one beet, and I'm using some bokchoy. Have you ever used bokchoy to make a juice? I think it's an excellent ingredient to help you increase healthy water content into your green juices if you do not have something like a cucumber or a watermelon. I'm going to juice all of this up and save it for the week. Now, if you'd prefer to make your juice as fresh as possible, which is like every day or every other day, in my case, I personally do not see myself juicing every day or every other day. So what I can do is juice in bulk and save half of it in the freezer to help preserve the vitamins and minerals, and that way it doesn't oxidize while I'm using it all throughout the week. Now save all of the residue, which you can add to your compost. And I'm going to be regrowing the bok choy leaves by steeping the root of the bok choy stalk and just set it in clean water and let it do its thing. In a few days, it will grow some leaves. Let me know if you tried that method. The fish is all seasoned, and now it's time to bake it. Yes, I said benachin is a one-pot dish, right? But I'm not going to be frying my fish. And that's something that is normal when making jollof rice. They are also known as benachin. I'll be baking my fish in the oven instead of frying it. I personally just prefer that method. And then I'll show you what I'll do after that. So in Ghana, Nigeria, in the Gambia, Senegal, they all fry their fish. And Phoebe decides she's not going to do it this time. So bake your fish at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about, I want to say 15 minutes, right? And then after that, I'm going to broil it to give it that nice charred effect. And while the fish is baking, I'm going to prepare my aromatics. Now for this one, I'm going to use some onions. I also have some garlic. I have some habanero peppers. And I'm adding in ginger for the first time, which is an ingredient that Ghanaians add to their jollof rice. I also add in some water to help everything grind well. And before grinding, I'm going to flip the fish so it gets a chance to bake on the other side. Then I'll continue by blending the aromatics until they're well pulverized. Turn on your stock pot to high heat and add in some olive oil. Here I have 4 tablespoons of olive oil, which is equals to about 60 mils. Add in the blended aromatics and stir well, maybe about 1 to 2 minutes. Because soon after that, I'm going to add in some very rich tomato paste. Add in the tomato paste first. Stir it into the aromatics. Next, I'm going to add in some fresh thyme leaves, curry powder, as well as 2 bay leaves. These help to amplify the flavor of your jollof rice. It's also my first time using curry powder in my jollof rice. And you know what? It tastes amazing. That's something I see Ghanaians, and if I'm correct, I also see Nigerians doing that too. Cook this tomato base for about 5 to 7 minutes until the flavors deepen. Then season with some Himalayan salt, some ground black pepper. Stir it in very well until it's well infused. And next I'm going to add in some high quality whole plum tomatoes, which were canned. Now, if you do have very amazing tomatoes from your garden, that would be a good time to add them in. Add some water to the bowl that had your plum tomatoes, as well as the blender that you ground your aromatics, so we do not waste any ingredients, and they also need to make their way to the pot. So rinse those vessels well, add them to the pot, stir the pot really well, cover it with its lid, and let it come to a simmer for about 15 minutes on medium to high heat. The fish is done baking. Now, since I'm not frying the fish, I'm going to be broiling it. It will give it a really nice grilled effect, like that nice char I'm looking for, right, to seal the seasoning into the fish. Now, I'll be doing this in my cast iron skillet. Actually, it would have been best for me to do the entire baking and broiling process in the cast iron skillet, but I really wanted to save the juices from the fish after I finished baking, so I can rinse that baking dish with some water and add all of those juices into the pot. This will help the benachin have that nice balance of a fish flavor instead of just eating the fish together with the rice that has been simmered into this tomato base. Now, if you know me already, you know I love to combine grains. I do not like just rice or just quinoa or just millet. So here I'm combining quinoa and jasmine rice. That is what I'll be using to make this Ghanaian jollof rice. Now, this is not something I see often. So if you want this jollof rice to be completely plant-based, this is a great option for you. You can skip having to prepare the fish, grilling it, and all that good stuff. Let me know if that works for you. The stock has been bubbling. Right about now, your kitchen will be filled with all these beautiful mingling aromas that are tormenting you because you can't even eat the food right now. All right, adding that broiled fish. Ooh, it looks so good. And let it just sit in the pot for about 5 minutes. If you're making benachin, this is the time when you'll add in some vegetables like your carrot, your okra, your aubergine. That is where we'll make it benachin or like chapbujin, right? But here, for Ghanaians, I do not see them doing this. And I'm doing it because I personally would like the fish to be coated with the tomato sauce, but it's not mandatory. Now that the tomato stock has been infused with the fishy flavor and the fish has been coated and infused with the tomato flavor, I'm going to add in the grains that I've washed very well. Okay, now the way it's looking, I feel like I may need a little bit of water. All right, so I added in some water, stirred really well to make sure the grains are well coated, and I decided last minute that I wanted vegetables, habaneros and okra. I'm gonna let them just steam and cover the pot with parchment paper, which I do not do. I don't know why I was trying out something totally new on video. So I lower the heat to let the grains simmer and cook through. I remove the okra after it's steamed for about 10 to 15 minutes together with the habanero pepper. And I removed the parchment paper about 10 minutes through cooking because I did not have a good feeling about the grains. I feel like they would have turned out too mushy. The grains are done cooking. It took about 35 minutes for them to be completely cooked through. And I'm serving this jollof rice with raha, which is a condiment that's made with blanched sorrel leaves and okra, together with locust paste, which is also known as dawa dawa. I think that's what it's called. But I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, Mommy, for encouraging me to make raha to pair with this jollof rice. The raha has a sour taste, but it also pairs well with the rice and the fish. Let me know, Creative Cooks, if you'd like a recipe for that. And there you have it, Creative Cooks. Ghanaian Jollof Rice made with a major twist. Let me know if this is something that you would like to try out. Get a full recipe on my website at creativephoebe.com. And with that said, thank you so much for watching, and we'll chat again in my next episode. Later!